Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today we are doing chapter 13 of Trustless Shadows. We make it a few hundred paces before demons block our path. They growl and shift forms, eyes shining red with rage, hands forming claws. I look over my shoulder at Adam. I can't see his face in the distance, at the at this distance in the low light, and I wonder if he's decided to kill me after all. What he said to me was a lie. He wasn't trying to get me to change my mind. Maybe he does feel that we are united in what we are, but what he really wants is another soldier in his army. He did want to make me his lieutenant. His mouth moves. I barely hear the word, but the undercurrent in them carries to us loudly. It is and isn't like a demon's roar. I can sense the intent in it, but where a demon needs to increase the volume of their roar to increase the strength of the instructions, Adam's are strong in spite of him speaking softly. Adam tells them to stand out, and even I feel myself relaxing. It takes an effort to remain on my guard. The demons stop fidgeting. His next instructions are for them to move away, and I steel myself against the command. The anger in their eyes increase, but they step out of our way. As soon as we are clear of them, I whisper to Claus, "Can you walk on your own? We need to get out of here. I don't trust Adam not to change his mind." I look up, and they're going to blow this place at some point. Claus stumbles and almost pulls me down with him. He gets his feet under him and grabs my arm. He stares in my eyes. The red in his He stares at my eyes. The red in his almost extinguished. His growl is so weak I barely feel the anger in it. He tries to speak, then shakes his head. He's too weak. His skin trails behind him, giving him the appearance of wearing a long cloak. He needs to eat. Fortunately, I know where there's a grocery store. The scent of rotting food wafts over us as I push the door open. A too sweet smell that leaves an off taste in my mouth. I'm not surprised that the food has gone bad. Most of the residents would have left within days of Adam's army arriving, if not hours, and none of the people who stayed would venture this close to his base of operation. What I didn't expect was for the lights to still be on, and I can hear the hum of the freezer in the back. The ventilation system does its best to chase the smell of rot away. I let Claus down so he can lean against the customer service counter. He grabs my arm as I go to pull away and tries to pull me down. His hand slips away. And he doesn't even have the strength to keep me with him. I'll be right back. I'm just going to get us food. He looks miserable with his skin pooling around him. I hesitate to leave him alone, but what he needs is food. I can't carry him the whole way. Once he's eaten, he'll be able to tell me what else he needs. I grab a basket and keep away from the produce and meat section. I'd prefer to shop from. Keep away from the produce and meat section I prefer to shop from because of the smells. I initially ignored the canned aisle. I never bought anything from it. Just specifically instructing me to stay away from canned food because there's way too much extra stuff in there I wouldn't like. I hadn't questioned his word while I lived here and never even looked at this aisle. But once I left, it became another thing he told me I questioned. I knew they kept for a long time, so they were what I stole. I discovered the hard way. He hadn't lied about them. The meat in the cans tasted wrong, even for being cooked. The fruits were far too sweet, and the vegetables didn't taste like anything. Not long after eating them, I threw up, black goop mixed in with the partially digested food. The only time that had happened before was when Amanda had poisoned me. I'd wondered if it was my unique physiology that made these food incompatible to me, in, or if humans knowingly ingested poisons. I didn't ponder the question for long. With those as food, I'd have more important things to think about to ensure my survival. With those as food. Without. Without those as food, I'd have more important things to think about to ensure my survival. I go through the doors at the back of the store and then to the freezers. Claws would be used to fresher meat, but it should allow him to regain his strength. I throw packages of frozen fish in the basket with the red meats, then bring that back to Claus. He makes faces after he eats some, but goes back for more. After bringing him 2 baskets, I go back for my own food, frozen fruits and vegetables. Jason had liked those. He'd mentioned how he enjoyed them on a hot day, making a smoothie by blending them with milk. I rip the door of the freezer in anger and stare at it. His betrayal hurts more than Amanda's. Hers made sense now that I know how she was. I was a machine to her, nothing more. In her eyes, I was defective. So the simplest thing to do was take me apart and start anew. When I didn't want to cooperate, it was normal that she'd work harder at disposing of me. But Jason? The door's handle whines in my tightening grip, then breaks, the door clattering to the floor. Jason had taught me how to act around other humans. I thought he wanted me to be what he considered normal. I had to remind him I wasn't human, so I couldn't be normal. But he didn't stop. He insisted I do my own grocery shopping so I would have to interact with people. I didn't like doing it. I still don't. I am not human, so I shouldn't have to interact with them. But what he taught me allowed me to do it. To find out, he also thought of me as only a machine, that everything he taught me had just been so I would feel closer to humans than demons. That first night I spent in my apartment, with money and food assured, was the first time I cried. I cried over the realization that his friendship had been nothing more than an act. I don't cry over it anymore. It's in the past. But sometimes, when I think about him, I get angry. It's good that he isn't around when I do. He might not survive it. I dump frozen fruit in the basket, only making sure it's the natural stuff. Humans will add stuff I can't tolerate even to frozen food. That and sugar. Humans love to put sugar on everything they eat. I come back and sit across Claus. He's already gone through 1 basket. As I open a bag of strawberries, his skin isn't drooping as much, and he eats slower. This will not be enough, he rasps, barely above a whisper. There's plenty more in the freezer. I shove a handful of berries in my mouth. He shakes his head, and the way his skin flops about makes him look like he has hair. More of this will not help. I need to hunt. You're in no condition to hunt. You need to eat and build up your strength so we can get out of here. Then you can hunt. I will not build up my strength with these, no matter how much you bring me. I need a hunt for that. There's nothing here for you to hunt. I put finality in my tone. He smiles at me. There is. You are not hunting humans. There are other than humans in this city at the moment. You'd hunt another demon? Another of your kind? Why? There's plenty of food here. He throws a bag of fish at my feet. That isn't food. I don't know what it is. It helps, but it isn't food. It's fish. I lob it back at him. He catches it and cuts the package open. Food is on legs. It runs when you chase it. It makes you feel fulfilled when you finally bring it down, sink your teeth into its flesh, drink in its fluid. Haven't you felt it? Haven't you felt it at the end of your hunt? Hunts, plural. I think back on it. It's been a long time since I've had a hunt where I felt anything but anger at having to fight a demon to save humans. Back when I lived here, I feel a sense of satisfaction when I killed a demon, but that was because I was keeping humans safe, and it was what I was made for. I chuckled. Certainly never ate a demon. Claw's eyes go wide. You didn't eat your kill? Of course not. You've watched me hunt a few times, right? You saw what I did. I thought you were sated. I understood you didn't hunt simply to feed yourself. I knew you were different. Your scent is that of a youth, but you don't show sign of the hunger madness. You can reason better than some of the older of my kind. Still, I didn't think that when you were hungry, you ate at the I did think that when you were hungry, you ate at the end of your hunt. I shake my head and indicate the basket. This is what I eat, although I prefer it fresh. He looks at the half-empty bag of fish, then me again. When he speaks, his voice is soft. You smell so much like Fang, but you are still so different. Who's that? Fang is in the light. Was my mate. I laughed. Are you telling me they made me from a whoop? My mouth snaps shut as the realization hits me. I glare at him and he tilts his head, looking at me quizzically. He lied to me. Of everyone I've encountered in my short life, I didn't think he'd lie to me. The sleeve of my trench coat rips as my skin ripples, forming spikes and edges. It was never about me. I have trouble breathing. You were never helping me. You were trying to get her back. Derick, don't fucking lie to me. Don't. Everyone else can lie to me, but not you. You're supposed to care. I came here to save you because you're the one person who never lied to me. I betrayed humans for you. There's no anger in his eyes, only pity. I do not lie to you, Derick. Not then, not now. Your scent carries some of Fang's in the light, but that is not who you are. I knew it when I caught it on the demon who came back to us. Your scent is more like that of Fang in the light's child. I know who our children's are, and yet there was another one who was Fang's in the light's child, but had nothing of my scent. I did not help you because I sought to be reunited with Fangs in the light. I help you because, in essence, you are my child. With that, my anger's gone. I hold on to the counter to stay standing. It's even more difficult to breathe than before. That's why you wanted me to come back with you. He nods. I think back to what he did for me, preventing the demon from killing me, introducing himself to me ever so slowly, gauging. Okay, this is gouging, gauging my reactions, forcing me to confront the lies I'd been told. I looked at my black hands, the skin smooth. I'm sorry for lashing out at you. You have had a harsh youth. You still do. You have been used and lied to. The youth who survived the hunger madness in cities come back to us, much as you are, unsure of things, grabbing onto kindness, then lashing out when the act isn't perceived as honest. But I'm not a kid. He smiles at me, in the way humans do, and somehow I know it's nothing like the way demons express the sentiment. To me, you are a child. You should still be among us, hunting small animals in the wild, knowing nothing but the hunt and the hunger. It would be years before it would be years still before your hunger grew too large for small animals not to be enough. I said, back down. From what I've seen, I'm happy I'm not going through that. I grab another bag. The fruits in it have begun thawing. So instead of ripping it, I cut open a corner and tip it up, drinking the juices and munching on the softening fruit. Since Amanda made me from Fangs in the light, does that mean you see me as a woman? Claude tilts his head, and I get the sense he's thinking, trying to work something out. He smiles. No. Male and female, men and women, those are human things. We do not have that distinction. Then how do you have kids? I've seen recording of how humans do it. I thought it was messy and didn't see the point. Sometimes, after we have found our mate, we will feel the desire for a child. We find a dark and intimate place and spend time there, mixing our essences. When we leave, we have a child. How do you mix essences? Claus considers the question. He looks around and smiles again. This isn't the proper place for it, and you are not ready to have a child. But I think I can give you a sense of it. He extends his hand to me, palm up. Place your hand above mine. He indicates my black hand. Bring it lower slowly. If something happens, do not fight it. It will not be harmful. He closes his eyes. I do as he said, starting a foot above and lowering my hand. Nothing happens until I'm 3 inches from his. The skin on his hands ripples ever faster until small tendrils reach up towards my hand. A moment later, the same happens with my hand. With mine. With mine. The tendrils can't stretch far enough to reach each other, so maybe no more than an inch. I lower my hand more and stop when they almost touch, watching the tendrils wave about, like they are calling to each other. One closed the distance and they touch, then another and more. Within a few seconds, most are touching, and with a gasp, I pull my hand away, holding it to my chest. I am sorry. Chloe's looking at me, concerned. It should not have been painful for you. I shake my head. It wasn't because of pain. It was the first sense of what being a demon was like, of what being fangs in the light had been like. I could remember having done something much like this with claws before, but more of it, not our hands, but our entire beings. I had the memory of the experience being intense, but just a memory. Other than awaken it, what we had done hadn't made me feel anything. Just like watching the pornographic movies. I could see what happened, and in this case feel some of the reasons behind it, but I don't understand the point of it. My hand is back to being normal, smooth and black. I stand. Since you said you need to hunt to regain your strength, we should get on that now so we can get out of here as soon as possible. Claus looks up at me. I am not leaving. And that concludes chapter 13 of Trustless Shadows. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter is going to be up, subscribe, hit the bell. If you want to read this book as well as the other two in the trilogy, they are available on Kindle Unlimited. If you want a different way to support me, that is on my Patreon, where you can read just about everything else I've written. And if you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. Links are in the notes, and with that, I shall wish you a good day.